It's Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and we have joining us for this Sunday edition is the former governor of Ogun State, one-time editor of Daily Times, one-time managing director of Daily Times, one-time Jide. On and on, we could go on and on and on. A role model to all journalists.
Big time journalist in his day, and Prodemocracy activist, Nadeco activist. And he was famous for always getting the exclusives from Awolowo because he was the closest journalist to the late Awolowo at that time.
Still looking very young. Still
Yes.
looking very young. I have
aging gracefully.
I have Chief Olusegun Osoba in the studio joining us. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, the 2023 presidential election has come and gone. How would you describe the outcome, sir?
I must say, with all sense of responsibility, that this has been the most peaceful election that we have ever had. And against all that they are churning out, this is one election where the turnout is very large. Although they keep comparing it with other elections that 27. You see, in the case of this election, the voting system was sanitized. Issue of loading figures were virtually eliminated. So as far as I'm concerned, the turnout in this election is one of the highest. Making comparison with other results from past elections is because in those elections there were no BVAS and people were loading results. Look, for example, in Bayelsa. Look at the figure that came out of Bayelsa. So this election, as far as I'm concerned, one is the most peaceful. Two is the one that reasonably transparent, in spite of the fact that the BVAS was not loaded in time. That should not be the reason why anybody should be querying the result, because the results have been counted, signed at the polling unit, collected at the ward level and signed, collected at local government level and signed by all agents, and then to the House of Rep collation centers and the senatorial centers signed. Then at the state level, collected, the presidential results were collected there and signed. So about 6 levels have been found to be totally correct and transparent. I will assure you, by the time you compare this, when the BVAS, the server is uploaded, and we download what is on the server with time and date, I can assure you it will tally with the results that were delivered at all the levels that I've mentioned.
Baka described it as the worst election ever in the history of the country.
Who described it like that?
Former vice president and the candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar.
Oh God. Okay, let me start by asking. Here is an election in which Atiku's vice president was worsted. In that election, he lost to Labour. Now, they go into alliance with Labour, PDP and Labour. Let them now tell me whether Labour rigged elections in Delta. Delta is almost like Pan-Nigeria. You have the Soko, the Shekiri, the robust, the just, and yet, if you look at the result, it's a very, people should do serious scientific analysis. We won 2 seats, the APC. Obi won the presidential. So what are you going to query? And then look at Ashwaju's electoral spread. It's the greatest spread that I've ever seen. I've been involved in elections since 1959. Here is a candidate that defied all odds in the middle belt, which is the hot seat for problem with religious issue. He won Benue. He made his back in Plateau. He won Kogi. He won Kwara. He won Niger State, all in the middle belt. So now, Atiku coming out now and saying that he is unhappy, I still have a lot of analysis to do. In the caliphate, Atiku won with a different margin of about 3,000 to Asiwaju's vote. Okay, if you are querying this result, Atiku won in Osun. I was born in Osogbo. I'm an Osun person. It beats my imagination that Atiku will come into Osun, my state of birth, and won. Is he saying that he also rigged in Osun? So all this noise about winning, and look at Obi's performance. In Nasarawa, Obi won. In Lagos, you won. In Delta, you won. And now you are querying. And I have something to say about what happened in the whole Eastern region. But as far as I'm concerned, this election has shown that the mandate is a pan mandate. 2, the southern Nigeria and the northern Nigeria, for once, have shown unity. When I say southern Nigeria, take Asiwaju's mandate. A man who can win the mandatory 25% in 29 states, 29 out of 36. A man scores 80%, and you are saying that he manipulated the examination. I can't get it.
Now, what will you say are the factors that determine the outcome?
So many factors. In the first place, as I said, the BVAS, and you can criticize INEC from today to tomorrow. The introduction of BVAS sanitized the process. It reduced rigging heavily. Yes, in some places, material got late. Who does not know that transportation in Nigeria is a problem, particularly at a time when there's fuel shortage? For example, in my local government, there were isolated cases of material coming late in Bafo, in a polling unit in Loko. But the INEC decided to rerun the election in Loko, for example, on Sunday. So when you look at the whole thing, you will see that the factors that influenced the elections were many. I praise Nigerian youth, and I'll continue to praise them. While praising them, I also have to appeal to them. They've shown their strength and capability. Fine. The Christians went all out, some Christians, all out to preach religion. Fine. That's a second factor. Some of our youth voted out of bitterness and hatred. I praise them for even coming out for the first time. But I will beg them, one, in future, when they want to show their hands, take for example, Etiosa, I'm talking of factors now. They just decided to vote one way, irrespective of even not, if as educated as they are all, because these are highly educated youths, professionals. They did not even look at the candidates. Is Banky West, Banky not one of them? Is Obani Corona one of them? These are two young men with strong family pedigree in Lagos, good education, and then you now just vote an unknown character. It defies logic. I thought the youth would now say, well, we want to show our strength by ensuring that we have presence. So that factor is there. And I'm appealing to them. The president-elect has appealed to them and said, well, I've heard you. What I think they should be doing now is to continue to group together, put your demand now before this president-elect as to what you want. That's one factor. The religious factor was there. I'll give you an example. In my local government, that's where we have the headquarters of the Redeemed Christian.
It has stressed the need for national reconciliation. To what extent do you think it can go with this?
Oh, of course. Look, this mandate has shown us that somebody can defy all the prebota. If it's Christian issue, how come that Ashwaju won in Bedouin? If you talk of the youth in Lagos, so also do we have youth all over the country who have voted for Ashwaju. So reconciliation starts from me as an elder statesman, and I'm appealing to other elder statesmen. We should call a meeting immediately and resolve to find a means of reconciliation. The Christian communities, they complain about Muslim. What are the things that you want this government to do? They should present their charter of demand. The youth should now say, well, election is over. These are the I want to thank the youth because those who have been calling them to come out, occupy this, occupy that, and start bloodshed, they've done well. By not protesting and creating chaos, and I have the experience of 1993. It is not a pleasant experience.
The candidate of the PDP, the presidential candidate of the PDP, as well as the presidential candidate of Labour Party, are both claiming that they were robbed. In fact, the candidate who came third has spectacularly claimed that he actually won the election. How do you describe what's going on with both the second place candidate and the candidate who came third laying claims to victory in the election? How do you describe this?
Well, it's an attempt to draw us back and create chaos within the system because they all have the results of the election signed by the agents all over the country, and they know very well what happened. To now claim that you won an election that was so clear is a disappointment to me, and I think it's an attempt to create chaos in the country. But I assure you, Nigerians are wiser now. Nobody will be instigated or provoked into turning this country on fire.
The bone of contention of these young people was INEC's decision to not upload results collated at polling centers onto the INEC portal for the viewing public. Why do you think the INEC took this decision to not upload to IREV, despite earlier promising that to deepen transparency, that it was going to post results onto IREF so that the viewing public can actually follow the trend?
Well, the youth are right to query INEC inability to upload the result instantly as promised from the polling unit. That I accept. But as an investigative journalist, I can tell you, I made my investigation and I heard from my investigation that there were so many attempts to jam the INEC portal and server, and that would have created chaos for the INEC. It's unfortunate, as a politician, I cannot now meet Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, nor make any contact with him. I cannot now make contact with one of my colleagues, who is also National Electoral Commissioner, my colleague, former Managing Director of Nigeria, Mohamed Haruna, because this is not a time when one should make contact. They have not handled their public relations well. They should have told the world that the deliberately shut down, that's my own investigation, I may not be right, that they shut down their portal to protect the information from being hacked into. They have not come out. They just said, we are facing challenges. They should have been straightforward and honest. The Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, that I know, is a gentleman. If you can even assess him and his character from the way he handled Dino. Dino went there to provoke and make him react in a manner that will show him as an intolerant person. But he calmly just kept telling Dino, you are now trying to disrupt. So the INEC needs to do its own PR. What I had was that they deliberately shut it down so that the hacker, look, even in Nigeria, ask the banks how much they are losing by hackers who hack into mobile transfer. The Nigerian bank is one of the most advanced in terms of technology. I have accounts all over the world, but Nigerian bank is where you immediately you use your card, it gives you an alert. But hackers every day are harassing and hacking into the banks, and they are losing money. So I appreciate and sympathize with Nigerians who query the INEC inability. That I accept. But INEC needs to come out and defend itself very well and explain the whole thing in details. Lastly, I will urge everybody to wait. For example, I have been able to download from the INEC portal and server. Yesterday, there was something said to me early in the morning that I was once sit here in Umuahia, one polling unit in Umuahia in Abia State. I was shocked when I saw it. How can one person be the presiding officer and also sign for all the agents? So what I did as a journalist, I went to INEC portal and I downloaded the whole thing. And the result that I found on INEC portal corresponded. And on the INEC portal, what was being circulated is there. That only one person presided and the same person signed for all the agents. If Atiku is complaining about rigging and Obi is complaining about rigging, they should please start coming out and giving me specific information, not just random information. I'm not saying they should release. Then I will accept.
Now, one of the political parties has gone to court to get it to mandate INEC to post election results real time to this IREF portal. if INEC actually took that decision to protect the portal from being hacked or from being jammed, in the light of the decision of the court to direct INEC to post results real time onto the IRF portal, what do you think could happen on March 11 when we will have the governorship election?
I expect INEC to now organize itself in a way that they should also put in place anti-jamming devices. The court has, even before the court gave the judgment that you are claiming that they gave, INEC portal has been open since beginning of the week. As I said, the CTI issue. I'm not want to believe anything on from the bloggers and on internet. I search, and I've been searching. Most of the searches that I've been making, they are on INEC portal. So INEC has already uploaded his result. It's there for everybody. If you have if you have your voter's card, slot it into INEC portal. You will see the result of your polling unit. It's already on. I'm sure the INEC must obey that court order. And for the next election, I want them to make sure that this thing is done according to the promises they made, and to now spend this period to now organize how they are going to protect their portal and their server.
We are not getting complaints from the northern part of the country, or is it just their nature to not complain about some of these things?
Well, I think it's because we have those who are electronically savvy among our youths in down south here. A lot of the professionals. That's why you find people talking. And in the north, I mean, who is going to complain? I mean, Obi, one in Nasarawa. Did Obi? How will Obi explain how he won in Nasarawa? And look at the situation in the north. The whole place was shared between Atiku and Asiwaju. And you go to Kano, of course, Kwakwanso made his mark. So in the case of the northern Nigeria, they are the one that really broke all the primordial attitude and voted along party line. I mean, okay, take for example in Lagos, it hurts me and it's giving me sleepless nights when educated people like me and others voted against APC in Ikoyi, for example. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has done so well in Ikoyi. Ikoyi was totally run down, was almost becoming a slum. And when Sanwo-Olu came in, he has done so much renewal in Ikoyi. For example, Glover Road all the way down to Briverton with heavy drainage because flooding was a problem. Latif Jakonde, Old Bell Avenue, from McDonald all the way down to Cooper Road to Alexander. Queens Drive is on it. Macpherson Avenue. He has done so much in renewal, and yet some of us elite, whose property value had gone almost 50% up, they just blindly. I thought you vote according to performance. Anywhere in the world, you assess a government and vote according. I hope they will redeem their image, because I will be one of those who will tell them, ignore Ikoyi. How can Ikoyi voting pattern and now they are touting it? Bodilon lost, and Bodilon Road, I lost Bodilon, I lost. There's a polling booth in front of my house in Oloto. They voted against APC. What is the reason? I mean, Tunji Bello used to tell me the effort they always make to pump water at every flooding period to save us from every flooding. It defies all reasonable logic. The way people voted in educated people in Ikoyi, for example, where I live.
Well, looking at the turnout in the last election, which was 26.70%, comparatively low. What are the factors do you think are responsible for this low turnout?
I keep saying it's not low, although we could have done better. The figure you are quoting is because you are comparing the turnout with previous results, and I'm saying that previous elections were usually massively rigged. I'll give an example in the past. When in 2007, in 2003, for example, in my election in Ogun State, President Obasanjo awarded himself 1.2 million votes. If you add the total votes in Ogun State, this time, 20 years after, actually scored 360 something, I think PDP won or something. If you add all the votes in Ogun State together, it is not more than 600,000 votes. And that is 20 years after Obasanjo awarded himself 1.2 billion votes to rig me out. Now, tell me, if you are going to compare turnout, if you are going to compare that figure, you will say that we didn't turn out in Ogun State. Well, we turned out, and Ashwaju's result is one of the highest we have had in Ogun State. So, don't compare the result of elections in 2003 and 2007 with the result of 2023. The turnout was good, but BVAS sanitized and virtually reduced. For example, take my personal experience. I got to my polling booth. The BVAS didn't recognize my finger and my face, and they said, "Oh God, we know you." I said, "No. This is not a case of man no man. I will not vote." And the reason why I did not vote is that we scored the highest in my polling booth. If I voted, the BVAS will show overvoting by 1 vote. And that would lead to the cancellation of the result in my polling unit. So I sacrificed my vote in order to save the result in my polling unit. So the turnout is high, but not high as I would have liked it to be. But you are comparing the result of 2023, which is a sanitized result, with the result of years of massive rigging. In 2007, for example, the international, everybody described it as the worst election in Nigeria. Let us wait. When they get to court and all the BVAS are downloaded, the result from unit are downloaded, and compare with what Professor Mahmoud Yakubu announced at the National Collation Center. If there's any different, then you know. But I'm saying that this result, in terms of voters, is high. In terms of the result that came out, is low to the other election because the other elections were massively rigged all over the country. I'll give you evidence why I say that it's not rigged. How can 20 governors, 20 across party line, lose their state at presidential election? 20 across party line. Can you ever believe that 7 governors lost their bid for Senate? It will happen in the past. There will have been ballot snatching, result manipulation, all kinds of things. But such did not happen. We must praise President Buhari for creating an enabling atmosphere for peace, for security to reign, and for not interfering. The past president have a way of interfering with the electoral process. He just voted the Daura and went and quietly. This election, I will wait, take a bet that is going to be on record as one of the best that we have ever had, and will become an example of how elections should be held.
Governorship election coming up on Saturday will take the pattern of the last presidential election.
Yes.
Did you think the forthcoming governorship election on Saturday is likely to take the same pattern like the presidential election?
No way. I can assure you, take Lagos for example. Let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, why should anybody be looking for a change in Lagos? Like I said, I have given you a personal assessment and performance of Sanwo-Olu in Ikoyi, where I live. This is not the say. A man, monorail that Jakode started and was cancelled over 40 years ago, the blue line he has restored. I can go on and on, giving you examples of his performance. I went to campaign in Agbado on Friday. I'm coming back. I Google my way back to my house, and all the way, all throughout Agege, all the neighboring areas between Ogun State and Lagos were all dualized. How do you say a man like that should not continue? So I take Lagos as an example. I foresee a difference. And what I will urge our people, the youth, you have made your mark, you have told us what you feel. I beg our youth not to make the same mistake as they made in Etiosa, where they went, just voted blindly out of frustration, which I appreciate. And the president-elect, especially Tinubu, has told you that he will address your frustration. And I appeal to my Igbo brothers and sisters, don't let us make this thing an ethnic issue. Anywhere in the world where ethnicity has become issues, it becomes destructive. In Yugoslavia, ethnicity destroyed Yugoslavia. Religion in Ireland, Northern Ireland, 3,500 people died because of religious issue. Take, for example, Lebanon. When I was young, Lebanon was the Dubai of the whole world. The Lebanese, anywhere they are hard work, and there are many all over the world, are very hard work. When you see people, construction farms in Nigeria, they are owned by Lebanese. What happened in Lebanon? Religion destroyed Lebanon. When we talk of religion, how has religion paid in Lebanon? The position of president is reserved for Christians in Lebanon. The prime minister is for an arm of the Muslim. The speaker is an arm of the Muslim. Has he helped Lebanon? Instead, it has destroyed Lebanon. So I will plead that both our youth and my religious people and our Igbo brothers and sisters in Lagos should think of the past. Nnamdi Azikiwe, the father figure of Igbo land, started and all his political life were in Lagos. The first Igbo lawyer, Sir Louis Mbanefo, went to Methodist Boys School and King's College. He had the education in Lagos. I can go on and on telling the history of these people on how we have been working together. Let us sustain relationship. Lagos is the most liberal state in this country. Lagos has given so much to all of us. Let us pay back by showing gratitude to a governor who I believe he has done his best.
Okay, let's talk about the challenge of governance. How prepared do you think the president-elect is? That's Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
how the president, how I see him.
The challenge of governance, how prepared do you think he is?
Oh, you see, with my personal experience with him, there are some points that you must give to the president-elect, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. He has the capacity and the track record of selecting high-class, knowledgeable, intellectual people to work with. He's not a man with inferiority complex. And you know, in anything in life, the team is very vital. He will just be the captain. The captain is not the one that is everything in any match. So he has the track record and capability of picking performers, people who can perform. Two, he also has from his past record, Lagos is one of the most stable states in Nigeria. Since 1999, when we all became governor, I don't think we have had more than 3 or 4 commissioners for works in Lagos. I don't think we have had more than 3 or 4 commissioners for health. This is the last 24 years. In terms of Attorney General, I don't think we have had more than. I can go on and on giving you examples, which shows you that he has the capacity and capability to create stability. Now, another thing that you can say about him is that he has the ability of creating network, building network. So don't let me go on and on. All these combined, these 3 examples combined, will be a good advantage. And I've been saying that we elders who are still alive should be ready to continuously not be too far. I'm contented. I'm 84. What else would I want from government other than for this country to be greater, for the young ones who are now very upset, who are jackpying, so that we bring them back to Nigeria. So we too have a role to continue to advise him and be able to tell him home truth.
So what kind of president do you think he will be? As somebody who is his neighbor, who is his ally, what kind of president do you think Asiwaju will be?
As I said, he will be a team-playing president. Look at all his record in Lagos. It's not him alone. For whatever he may be claiming, it's because he had a very good team. And with the kind of mandate that he has been given now, it's a pan-Nigeria mandate, a mandate for unity. I expect him to bear that in mind, that unity is going to be vital in the situation in which we are, and I expect him to bear in mind the economic situation. A lot of wastage and leakages are going on. Take, for example, the petroleum area. I expect him to block all these leakages so that they will have money for capital development. In terms of security, you can see that since even during the election, because of the determination of Nigerians, and I give it to Nigerians, all of us, all young men and women, we created an enabling, peaceful atmosphere that day. I expect him to look into the issue of security and do the best. Once we have security, naturally, the economic development will come along. Once he is able to block leakages, one thing I know is that he is a very determined and courageous character. If he decides to do something, he would go all out and do it.
Let me ask you a question that is relatively personal. You practiced journalism for many years. Tell me your best moment as a practicing journalist.
There are too many best moments, too many. I mean, for example, let's talk of when I was in Herald. The coup that led to the death of Murtala Mohammed, are you going to talk about that? Which we covered and gave us a great leap in the Herald. People overrate. I discovered Tafawa Balewa's body. Are you going to talk about the case of Shugaba, who was physically taken by a young man into a minister of internal affairs then by Tama, took him physically and threw him across the border? Is it the Shugaba story you are going to talk about? And most people are young. There was a case in Old Kingsway, which is our own self-interest and things. I thank God. I have had successes in large volume that it is difficult for me to start talking of this as my landmark or that as my landmark.
But you would have one you can describe as your biggest journalistic breakthrough. That is the question. If you were to rate those successes that you the individual successes that you achieved, which one would you describe as your biggest journalistic breakthrough?
The best ever, because it was a risky assignment for me, and that one gives me memories of how to do thorough. It didn't happen just overnight. I was on it, monitoring everything, risking myself, in fact, getting into the Tafawa Balewa residence across Island Club in Oniko. So that story took me some time before it yielded the result that it yielded.
Of the Prime Minister. The remains of the Prime Minister. Wow.
Osoba, are you there? Can you hear us? Hello? Since we... well,
Okay.
all round.
Let him go.
Somebody that, has always been there, and after his stint as a journalist, came back, entered into politics.
Yes, he's a role model any day, and anything that he commits to, you can be sure that success will be recorded. As a politician, he's been a two-term governor. Two times he was governor, and he could have been re-elected, but Obasanjo...
The tsunami of 2003.
Yes, Obasanjo snookered the Yoruba leadership, and they decided to vote for him, and they lost most of the governors. I think it was Asiwaju Bola Tinubu.
The only one standing in the southwest.
Survived. So, and Osoba was also a popular governor, because in those days you would hear them singing his praise. Daddy, mommy, Osoba ne dibo fun. Daddy, mommy, Osoba ne dibo fun. So Akinrogun has always acquitted himself very well. And you could see that even at 84, he still has the intellect, he still has the capacity to recall, and the analytical brain is still there, no doubt about it, as is always the case with good journalists. So we are grateful for the privilege to speak with one of the greatest journalists to come out of our country.
Olusegun Osoba.
Yeah, no doubt it's one of the best journalists this country has produced. Apart from working for Daily Times, he was already a stringer for Newsweek magazine, or a stringer for BBC and Times of London. So his experience in journalism is not just about Nigeria. I've worked for some of the best, media institutions all over the world, and I think we continue to respect him because of his character, his strength of character, and up to today, he has not changed. He remains a role model to a lot of people in the media and also to, his community. And even when he was governor, he was one of those few governors that you could hardly find any corruption issues around him. Probably none. Throughout his first tenure under SDP and then later as
Alliance for Democracy.
So we are glad to talk to him. And I hope people will take his words serious, because one of those that we can actually rely on in this country to guide us on the pathway to prosperity and success.
He buttressed the points that we made earlier about the election.
Yes, that is my position. People can say what they like, This time around, if your opinion is different to people's opinion, they say you are not objective. People fail to realize that when we come here, we are not, our job is not the job of the reporters. When we are here, it's our opinion that we are asked to give you. It's just like accusing Roy Keane of not being objective because of his usually very strong views. But you are asking me for my opinion. But even at that, we try our best to be balanced. I'll challenge people that, look, whatever it is that I've said that you can see is wrong, point it out. If I discover that indeed I made a mistake, I'll correct myself. We do that a lot here. But if I said certain things, like, 2 days ago I said here that whatever it is that Peter Obi achieved in this election, Buhari achieved even better in 2011. He won more states in 2011. He won 12 million votes in 2011.
12?
Yes, he even had more states in which he got 25% in 2011 than Peter Obi. So somebody said, oh, you are not objective. But I'm speaking facts. Facts are the tools of my trade.
They don't want to.
If it is wrong, challenge me that, oh, Jide, you lied. I will come openly to say, oh, I lied. Buhari didn't do as well as Obi. No, but on the internet, you see the table. You see each state won by him. And I also said that in 2011, Buhari started CPC from the scratch.
Yes.
It took, in 4 months, it took CPC to the election. In 4 months, it took it to election, and the party came second. Now, is that
Nasarawa State?
Yes, and they produced the governor. But he had people in the National Assembly. Now, the Labour Party that Obi has used is not a new party. It's not a 4-month-old party the way CPC was. We've had
Mimiko ran under Labour Party.
He became governor under Mimiko. So this is a party that people had used in the past. In fact, Zeni Labour Party is an offshoot of it. The people have used Labour. Labour is almost as old as they said, the political dispensation. So I have not said anything that is not true. To say that somebody is not objective because he said the truth, it beats me the way this generation thinks. It's the truth. So if it does not say what you want, and the question is, when people, you say I'm not objective, when the APC people were calling me tomato journalist because I spoke the truth that tomato was costly, where were you? You're saying I'm an APC person. But they were abusing me at that time. You are all witnesses to it. So we will not stop saying the truth. We are wired to say the truth. It doesn't matter how you think. You can abuse me the way you're abusing other people, but you can't bully me. Even if I don't respond to you on social media, I will come here and respond to you.
Chief Osoba, your last word, sir, on this election.
Well, I have told you that I'm confident as an investigative journalist that the results are credible and that they will tally. I'm happy they are exercising their right to go to court. After all, Trump asked for, when they're talking of manual, the Trump asked for manual county in Arizona, Georgia, and everywhere. But I assure you that Nigerians have behaved well up to this time, and I plead with them to continue to behave well. You were asking me about Asiwaju. One thing that I also can say about him is that he's a very hard-working person. He works up to 2, 3 in the morning. When I walk across, dinner in his house is about 1 a.m. in the morning. So I plead with Nigerians to please let this be, and that we all must come together, united, and please put whatever we want this government to do for us in the current situation that we are, and hold us accountable to whatever you want from the government. That's my appeal to Nigeria. Never let us go violent. Although what happened 30 years ago, I was involved in MKO. We lost so many personalities. Alfred Iwani died, was killed. Myself and Ibrahim Adesola escaped assassination. So many young people died. That will never happen, and I can assure you, Nigeria, we have passed the Rubicon. We've broken the jinx. Asiwaju has broken the jinx of the 30-year cycle. And this election will not result. We shall never have a Rwanda situation in Nigeria, or Ethiopian situation, or George Taylor Liberia. Nigeria will progress by the grace of God from this election.
I want to thank you, Chief Olusegun Osoba. Thank you for your intervention today. Gentlemen.
Ogun Osoba.
Yes, sir.